Hello, and welcome to the Downtown Community Plan and New Zoning Code Virtual Open House. Before we begin, we want to first take a minute to thank everyone who has joined today's webinar. Today's presentation is intended to provide an overview of the draft Downtown Community Plan and explain how we take our broad community goals and objectives and translate them into local zoning rules. If you'd like to learn more about the community planning process in general, please visit our YouTube channel, Planning for LA, to view recordings of the Planning 101 series presentations, available in English and Spanish. We understand that the downtown community has faced many challenges this year, and we truly appreciate your time and attention. Recent developments, primarily COVID-19 and the ongoing conversation around racial justice and restorative planning, have highlighted and placed increased importance on issues that are not new, but are the result of systemic conditions that have long existed. These events underscore the need for housing that is affordable, especially for lower income groups, and have shown that a lack of affordable housing can have far-reaching consequences, including health risks to individuals and limited access to resources in times of need. Highlight the need for flexibility to allow businesses to quickly adapt to changing needs. Emphasize the need for open space to serve a variety of purposes, spaces to meet and socialize, spaces to play and entertain, and spaces for businesses to extend service outdoors. And highlight the need for engagement strategies and activities that are safe but also inclusive. Engagement with the downtown community has always been a cornerstone of this plan update process, and city planning continues to work to make the planning process inclusive for all by ensuring materials in multiple languages, providing access both online and in person as public health guidance allows, and sustaining conversations with community groups throughout the plan area. At today's presentation, we will begin with a general introduction to community planning in Los Angeles. However, today's presentation will focus specifically on the Downtown Community Plan. We will first discuss the plan's foundation, the plan's goals and objectives. Following this, we will go through some of the zoning tools we are utilizing to implement this plan vision. Lastly, we will also talk about the Community Benefits Program that is being introduced as a part of the Downtown Community Plan. This virtual open house is being held to share information on the Downtown Community Plan and help facilitate public comment on the plan at the forthcoming public hearing. A public hearing is an opportunity to formally provide your comments on the Downtown Community Plan, as well as the new zoning code, to a hearing officer. All comments will be recorded and considered by the planning department and the decision makers to further refine or modify the plan. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, the hearing will be conducted virtually. Anyone can take part in the public hearing online or by phone. The hearing is scheduled to be held on December 8th, 2020, between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. In lieu of the hearing, you can provide written comments until December 18th via email or through the comment form that is available on our website. We will share the staff contact info later in this presentation. In addition, there will be opportunities to provide comment at a later date during agendized meetings with the City Planning Commission, anticipated to happen in winter-spring 2021, and later at the City Council's Planning and Land Use Management Committee. The state of California requires every city to have a general plan with 7 required elements. One of these elements is the land use element. In the city of Los Angeles, the land use element is divided into 35 community plan areas. These community plans function as a guide for growth in an equitable and sustainable way, meeting the needs of the unique communities that lie within each community plan's boundaries. The City of Los Angeles periodically updates these community plans. As shown in the dark blue on the map, there are currently 16 community plans in the update process, and the 6 shown in yellow were recently adopted. The city plans to update the remaining plans once the current updates are adopted. The Downtown Community Plan is one of the community plans that is currently undergoing an update, and the plan is the focus of this presentation. Why are community plans updated? Plans are updated to accommodate the needs of current and future residents of the community, including providing areas for housing and job growth in a meaningful and equitable way. The community plan update process involves in-depth community engagement to establish the community vision for future growth and development, and the future vision for the neighborhood. The community plan update also acts as a tool to address community issues or opportunities. These might include a need for affordable housing, a response to a recent transit project, or a desire to protect a community's cultural or historic legacy. The community plan includes a policy document that lays out this community vision and uses zoning and land use tools to implement the vision. The Downtown Community Plan update process began in 2014 and has been ongoing. Since 2014, City Planning has held outreach through workshops, focus groups, open houses, office hours, presentations, and collaboration with community-based organizations to solicit input from the community on the vision for the neighborhood. Key outreach events that have been held in recent years include a week-long downtown open studio in October of 2016 to release and discuss the initial draft plan and zoning concepts, a scoping meeting to kick off the environmental review process in 2017, roundtable discussions with various neighborhood council committees, workshops and focus groups in partnership with community organizations, and Planning 101 presentations last month. The timeline here shows our current phase and what our next steps are. We are currently in the refine phase of the plan update process. We have released the draft community plan document, along with the draft community benefits program and draft zoning code, and have been gathering feedback through the summer and fall. We published a draft environmental impact report in August of this year, and the comment period for that study concludes on December 4th. Building off of years of input and refinement, on December 8th, we will hold a public hearing on the draft plan and zoning changes. After the public hearing, a recommended plan will be brought to the City Planning Commission, and finally, for adoption by City Council. Leading up to and during the entire adoption process, there are many opportunities for public input and feedback. Please review the outreach timeline on our website for more information. The community plan consists of 4 primary components: the policy document, which describes the collective vision for the future of downtown and contains goals, policies, and future implementation programs; the general plan land use map, which sets the range of allowable uses and building sizes across the plan area; the zoning map, which applies parcel-specific regulations to implement the plan's goals and policies; and the community plan implementation overlay, which introduces a new community benefits program, design best practices, and other development standards. I will now walk through the plan goals and objectives. Downtown is the civic and cultural heart of our city, a collection of distinctive neighborhoods and diverse populations. Downtown is also home to a growing residential population and is a regional jobs center. Our regional transportation network converges on downtown, and this access to transit infrastructure is one of the important factors guiding land use policy for downtown. A key objective of the community plan is to accommodate projected growth in a sustainable, equitable, and thoughtful way. The Southern California Association of Governments has projected that by the year 2040, downtown will have an additional 125,000 new residents, 70,000 new housing units, and 55,000 new employees. This represents a tripling of downtown's residential population. The plan accommodates these projections and creates capacity for additional growth. Furthermore, 80% of the plan's anticipated growth is located within a half-mile of a major transit stop, helping our city address climate change goals and increase equitable access to housing, jobs, and services. As the city and region grow and evolve with new infrastructure, a changing economy, rapid increases in technology and retail experiences, new needs for housing and jobs arise. The community plan updates strive to bring the community's vision forward through the policies and zoning to balance the housing and employment needs of current and future residents for the coming years. When we think about the changes at a citywide level, the plan is accommodating 20% of the city's household growth in just 1% of the city's land area. Although downtown is accommodating a lot of population and jobs, the community plan recognizes that downtown is a collection of unique neighborhoods and proposes land use and zoning strategies tailored to its neighborhoods. Accommodating this growth in a way that respects the diversity of downtown in a sustainable, equitable, and inclusive manner is the overarching framework of the plan. This is an important step for our future. As Los Angeles grows, new housing and jobs should be located near trains, buses, and bike lanes so that people can move through the city without being solely dependent on cars. Encouraging development near high-quality transit downtown will help to reduce traffic in other neighborhoods and combat the effects of climate change. One important principle of the plan is to grow and support downtown's residential population. The downtown plan aims to provide new opportunities for Angelenos to live downtown, no matter what their income level is. There are a few different ways in which the plan does this. The plan reduces requirements that make building new housing more expensive and time-consuming because of lengthy city review processes. The plan simplifies regulations related to parking, open space, and density limitations. The plan introduces new requirements for development to include affordable housing for larger buildings, and the plan also increases opportunities for reusing vacant buildings. The plan proposes to expand the residential capacity by expanding the areas where housing is allowed and also allowing for larger buildings. Today, mixed use and residential zoning is allowed in the western portion of downtown, generally east of the 110 freeway. The plan is proposing to expand that to areas such as the Fashion District and the Arts District. It would accomplish this by nearly doubling the area where housing is permitted, increasing it from 33% to 60% of the total land area. What this means is that it would create more opportunities for incorporating permanent, supportive, and affordable housing in new neighborhoods where it is currently not allowed. Additionally, the plan as currently proposed introduces opportunities for different types of housing to accommodate a variety of living situations, lifestyles, income levels, and age groups, including live-work units, family-size units, and micro units. In the same way the plan is proposing to expand opportunities for housing, it is also prioritizing space for small businesses in some neighborhoods and expanding opportunities for new industries to locate in other neighborhoods. Historically, downtown has accommodated discrete pockets for specific types of uses, such as clusters of heavy industrial or commercial activities in certain parts of the plan. As you can see on the map to the left, the area in blue shows the areas that are restricted to a single use, which is about 80% of the plan area. In order to accommodate rapid changes in non-residential markets, such as retail, office, and research and development, this plan looks to a more flexible zoning strategy that encourages the co-location of a variety of uses while safeguarding spaces for industrial activity. The map on the right shows under the new plan, areas limited to a single use is just 36% of the plan area, which is mostly industrial uses in the south and residential uses in the very northern part of the plan, while opening up the rest of the plan area for a range of uses, activities, and job opportunities. What this means is that over the next 10 to 20 years, downtown neighborhoods that are predominantly one-story warehouses today may see different types of buildings that include office, retail, and manufacturing, all in the same neighborhood, while making sure heavy industrial uses that can pose health risks are buffered from where large amounts of people are living and working. Downtown is home to a range of diverse communities, each with their own unique cultural and historic legacy. The plan recognizes that a neighborhood's character and identity is defined not only by the physical design of buildings and streets, but also by the activities occurring within them and the community networks that tie neighborhoods together. The plan proposes to reinforce these qualities through regulations that shape the form, scale, and size of buildings, in addition to establishing rules to promote appropriate uses. From a form and scale perspective, the plan proposes to use form and frontage regulations introduced by the new zoning code to encourage contextual infill and introduces limits on how tall a building can be in the core of our historic and cultural neighborhoods. The zoning code also allows the flexibility to customize zoning for each neighborhood and specify things like window size and entry features. The proposed use regulations aim to support spaces for cultural events and live entertainment in areas such as South Park and around the Los Angeles Convention Center, and to protect space for legacy businesses in areas such as Little Tokyo. In areas like the Fashion District and Arts District, productive uses such as creative office, maker spaces, and fabrication will be prioritized. In addition to the development of new buildings, the plan also focuses on improving access and mobility choices for people living in, working, and visiting downtown. The plan aims to promote a safe environment for all users, whether walking, rolling, or taking transit. The plan is raising design expectations at the street level through the new zoning regulations by requiring active ground floor design with large windows and frequent pedestrian entrances, and strong street walls that frame our public spaces. Expanding opportunities for open space by incentivizing public parks and plazas to be connected to our sidewalks, and by focusing on pedestrian safety first by requiring more pedestrian paseos and discouraging frequent vehicular driveways along primary streets. Additionally, the plan looks to expand key linkages amongst downtown neighborhoods by looking at internal neighborhood circulation and strengthening east-west corridors such as 6th and 7th Streets. The Downtown Community Plan will be utilizing new zones created through the city's comprehensive zoning code update to implement community plans. The Downtown Plan Update is the first plan to use the new zoning code, which will be tailored and applied across the city as each community plan is updated. The new zones are tailored specifically to the plan area. Keep in mind that the broader community plan goals and policies, the land use designations, and the zoning for each particular property are all related, because zoning is the tool used to implement the goals and policies of the plans. Zoning determines what you can build and do on any given parcel of land. It includes rules about what buildings will look like, including maximum height, building coverage, or maximum FAR, which stands for floor area ratio, and generally tells you how big of a building can be built on a site, as well as use regulations that determine what people can use a property for, such as single-family houses, apartments, retail, or office space. The new zoning code is organized by articles. Each article contains a set of regulations that apply to certain aspects of the development. Article 2 contains form districts, which determine how large buildings can be and influence features like a building's size and width. Article 3 contains frontage districts, which influence how a building appears from the street level, from its proximity to the street to its ground floor height requirements. Article 4 contains standards, which regulate certain design elements around the building, including those related to access, parking, trees, and signs. Article 5 contains the use districts, which determine what kinds of activities are allowed on a property, ranging from residential to industrial, and in many instances, a mix of uses. And Article 6 contains density districts, which refer to the number of housing units that are permitted on any site that allows for residential units. In downtown, there are no residential density limitations. Article 9 contains incentive programs, which describe regulations related to the Community Benefits Program and other incentives such as adaptive reuse. The first component of the zone string is the form district, regulating a building's scale and mass. In areas that currently support high levels of development or are located close to transit services, the plan allows for bigger buildings and generally does not include height limits. However, in certain areas of the plan, for example, in the historic core along Broadway and Main Streets, the plan introduces a height limit of 12 to 15 stories. To ensure there are smoother transitions between the core and the edges of the historic core where buildings can be taller, buildings above 12 stories are required to step back from the street. These zoning regulations are intended to ensure infill is contextual and respects existing patterns of development. Oftentimes, the character of a neighborhood is reinforced by the overall height and width of a building. For example, a block with 5 individual buildings can feel small scale and pedestrian friendly versus one large development that occupies an entire block. In certain historic neighborhoods, when buildings have large widths, the plan requires that they be broken up to include a building break. This is to help create a more fine-grained environment and ensure large-scale buildings are supported by amenities such as courtyards, paseos, and other types of open spaces. The second part of the zoning string is the frontage. The location of buildings in relation to the street can affect the way someone experiences a neighborhood. For example, if a building is separated from the sidewalk by a large parking lot, it can be difficult and sometimes dangerous to access. The plan requires that buildings are located nearby where people are walking, biking, and rolling. The plan makes it easier to access buildings directly from the sidewalk by ensuring entrances are within 5 to 10 feet and vehicular driveways are limited to where fewer people are walking. In places where strong street walls are desirable, buildings are required to be placed quite close to the property line along the street. In more residential areas where privacy is also a consideration, there's more flexibility with regard to placement, and buildings can be buffered with landscaping or fencing. While a consistent street wall along the street is an important objective of the frontage regulations in much of downtown, frontages also promote a lively street experience by allowing for a variety of open spaces such as courtyards or outdoor dining. Therefore, buildings are permitted to be stepped back from the property line if they incorporate outdoor spaces. The idea is that when buildings break the street wall pattern, they are providing pedestrian amenities. Doors and windows, including their size and placement, influence the character of buildings. The plan sets minimum transparency requirements and maximum width of blank walls. The plan includes requirements related to placement of primary entrances along the street and also the minimum spacing between these entrances. These regulations together will ensure that treatment of building facades are reflective of the character of neighborhoods. Rather than requiring uses such as cafes and retail on the ground floor to achieve active street fronts, the plan outlines frontage standards to create buildings that engage the street while being flexible in regard to use. The third component of the zone string is the development standards district. The development standards component of the zone string outlines regulations related to parking, including how much, if any, parking is required, and design standards for parking structures. It also outlines rules for signs and landscaping requirements. As we touched on earlier, one of the important goals of the plan is to make sure it is safe, comfortable, and convenient for people to walk in downtown. So how can private developments contribute to this goal and enhance the pedestrian environment? Under the plan, when buildings exceed certain widths or extend across full blocks, they are required to incorporate paseos or pathways that connect adjacent streets or alleys to provide people with mid-block connections and make it easier to get around by walking or rolling. The plan does not stipulate a minimum amount of parking. This allows flexibility for projects to provide parking as needed. When parking is above ground, it is required to be wrapped or screened so that it does not detract from the quality of the public space around it. Above-grade parking is also required to include design features like flat floors that allow for adaptation of these structures over time as parking needs change. The fourth part of the zone string is the use district, regulating the activities on a site. Across downtown, there are businesses and commercial establishments of varying scale and size. Areas such as the financial core and Bunker Hill include regional serving uses like banks and hotels. In contrast, areas like Chinatown or Little Tokyo include a large number of legacy businesses that primarily serve neighborhood needs and are generally much smaller in size. Use districts allow for tailored rules that address these different contexts. One example of how use regulations help support the plan goals and policies is a set of use rules that prioritize small local businesses in certain areas of the plan. The plan does that by establishing a maximum size of a business on the ground floor. 1,500 square feet limitation for commercial services in certain residential areas to encourage neighborhood serving uses to meet the daily needs of residents, or a 5,000 square feet limitation in mixed use areas with existing local small businesses. In addition to establishing new zoning tools, the plan also expands and updates existing zoning tools like adaptive reuse. Adaptive reuse allows for existing historic commercial buildings to be repurposed for residential uses in some parts of downtown. The program, first introduced around 20 years ago, has been very successful in bringing new life to downtown's extraordinary collection of historic buildings and growing downtown's residential community. The plan is expanding the adaptive reuse program for all of downtown and therefore creates more opportunities to reuse and protect existing historic structures. The plan removes barriers to adaptive reuse. Projects may convert to any use allowed by the zoning, and adaptive reuse would no longer be restricted to just residential uses. There would also be no minimum size requirements for residential units. The plan also introduces a rolling date, so buildings constructed after 1974 may also utilize the program. We will now talk a little about the Community Benefits Program, one of the primary implementation tools of the community plan. At a basic level, community benefits create a system of value capture, where new development includes direct benefits to the immediate community or general public. Community benefits through land use planning often include a developer gaining additional development rights in exchange for providing a public benefit, like infrastructure improvements, open space, affordable housing, or a payment into a public fund. Typically, community benefits programs are either required to be a fee that is then turned into a community benefit, such as the city's Quimby fee for open space, or the affordable housing linkage fee, or an incentive system that offers a developer or property owner additional development rights, such as height, floor area, or density in exchange for providing a community benefit. Today in downtown, there are existing affordable housing incentive programs, including Density Bonus and the Greater Downtown Housing Incentive Ordinance, and the Transit-Oriented Community Program, often called TOC. Both of these programs allow for a developer to build a larger building in exchange for a certain percentage of affordable units on the site. Another existing incentive program is the Transfer of Floor Area Rights Program, or TFAR, which allows property owners to sell unused development rights to developers in certain parts of downtown. Projects participating in the TFAR program also contribute public benefits directly and to a public benefit trust fund. The plan is introducing a new community benefits program that is tailored to garner benefits that are most needed in downtown. In order to avoid competing programs, the new program will be replacing today's TOC program with incentives specifically calibrated for downtown. TFAR will also be eliminated under the plan and replaced with a new system that prioritizes affordable housing and other on-site benefits and modernizes the calibration of public benefits in downtown. Today's presentation focuses on the incentive program that is proposed as a part of the Downtown Community Plan. The program is tailored to achieve benefits that are most needed in downtown to create complete neighborhoods. The program prioritizes affordable housing. In addition, the plan incentivizes privately owned public open space, as well as community facilities to serve the neighborhoods within which each project is located. In certain areas, the plan also promotes preservation of existing historic buildings by allowing historic structures to sell any unused development rights to new developments. The main incentive used to garner these public benefits in the downtown context is through floor area rights. The zoning form district for each parcel outlines a base and bonus FAR. The base FAR is available by right, and the project need not provide any benefits to utilize this. The bonus FAR is the additional development potential that a project can utilize to build larger buildings, only if a project participates in the Community Benefits Program. The Community Benefits System outlines different pathways for residential and non-residential projects. Any project with more than 5 housing units is considered a residential project. Residential projects would always be required to provide affordable housing units as the first public benefit. The Community Benefits Program is structured into 3 levels. Community benefits required to achieve these incentives would increase in proportion to how big a proposed building is beyond what can be built under the base zoning. Let's go through the base zoning and the bonus incentives in more detail. Without utilizing the Community Benefits Program, a developer would be able to build a project up to the maximum base zoning regulations in terms of height, floor area, and all of the units could be market rate. If a project chooses to build bigger buildings than what is allowed under the base, as illustrated in the second diagram, it would be required to provide affordable housing. Under Level 1, projects can gain up to a 35% bonus in floor area. If a project chooses to further increase the size of a building, it can provide more affordable housing or provide one of the options on a menu of public benefits, namely open space and community facilities. Under Level 2, projects can gain up to 50% of the remaining bonus floor area. Under Level 3, projects can achieve the remaining bonus floor area by providing any of the benefits that I described earlier, or by providing a payment towards a community benefit trust fund. Any project with fewer than 5 housing units is considered a non-residential project. the pathway for non-residential projects is a little different than what it is for residential projects. The base zoning is the same as it is for a residential project. A developer would be able to build a project up to the maximum base zoning in terms of height and floor area. However, non-residential projects would not be required to provide affordable housing and instead would go straight to providing public benefits from the menu under Level 2. Non-residential projects can achieve Level 2 development incentives by providing public open space or community facilities. Under Level 3, a non-residential project may make a payment towards the Community Benefit Trust Fund or provide more public open space or community facilities. To summarize more broadly, housing development projects always have to provide affordable housing first to be able to build larger buildings. And after satisfying this requirement, they have the option to provide open space or community facilities. Non-housing projects are not required to provide affordable housing and can provide public open space or community facilities to access bonus development incentives. How many affordable units are actually required to be provided to use this program? The program requires that a developer or applicant set aside at least 5% of units at deeply low income, or 8% of units at extremely low income, 11% of units at very low income, 20% of units at low income, or 40% of units at moderate income for for-sale projects. The units provided must be set aside for and legally restricted to tenants at certain income levels for a term of at least 55 years, which means that the property owner is required to keep these rents affordable to households at that income level for 55 years, even if tenants change. Under the program, the amount of rent that a developer can charge a tenant in a restricted affordable unit is capped. If a project chooses to provide open space as a community benefit, it has to set aside at least 4% of lot area as publicly accessible open space to earn every additional bonus level of floor area. This would be in addition to the outdoor amenity space required by the base zoning regulations. In order to ensure these spaces are truly accessible to everyone, a project also has to meet additional standards. These spaces have to be directly accessible from the adjoining sidewalk. They should include signage indicating that they are public spaces. And they should also include amenities such as restrooms, play areas, or recreational equipment, as well as meeting certain design standards. Community facilities is another one of the options that a project may provide as a community benefit. Community facilities can include a range of public serving facilities such as childcare, libraries, schools, or social services. Because we want to make sure that these spaces are truly meaningful, they have to be a minimum size of 5,000 square feet. And on top of this, a project has to set aside 2.5% of floor area for every one additional level of bonus floor area. Similar to open space, projects have to comply with location, signage, and design standards. The plan is also introducing transfer of development rights, or TDR, to facilitate preservation of historic buildings. As shown in the map here, projects located in the hybrid industrial designation are eligible to buy floor area, and these are called receiver sites. A historic site that sells unused floor area is a donor site. Any site designated as a Los Angeles Historic Cultural Monument, sites listed in or formally determined eligible at the local, state, or federal level, or identified as a contributor to a historic district or individual resource by Survey LA are eligible donor sites within the area shown in orange on the map. Before we close our presentation today, I would like to take a few minutes to talk about what is on the horizon for the downtown plan. We released the draft environmental impact report in early August this year. The comment period for commenting on this document is currently open. Normally, per state regulations, we are required to provide a 45-day comment period. But given the current situation, we wanted to give people more time to respond, so we've extended the timeline to 120 days, which will end on December 4th. We are offering webinars such as the one today to share information about the plan. Many of these materials are also available online on our website. This webinar will be recorded and posted online as well and can be viewed anytime. As mentioned during the beginning of the presentation, you may comment on the plan at the public hearing scheduled on December 8th between 4 to 7 p.m. There will be additional opportunities to comment on the plan at the public hearings for City Planning Commission and the City Council Planning and Land Use Management Committee. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening.